Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-diving into the wonderfully weird and whimsical world of a man who taught generations of kids to love reading. He's the reason we know about green eggs and ham, cats and hats, and grumpy green guys who steal Christmas. That's right, we're talking about the one, the only Dr. Seuss. But wait a minute. Was he even a real doctor? The short answer is no. His real name was Theodor Seuss Geisel, and he added the doctor part as a bit of a joke. His dad had always hoped he'd become a professor, so when Ted dropped out of his PhD program at Oxford, he kept the title as a nod to his father. As for Seuss, it's actually his mother's maiden name, and it's supposed to be pronounced Seuss, like voice. But after years of everyone rhyming it with goose, he just went with it. It was better for rhyming anyway. Born in 1904 in Springfield, Massachusetts, young Ted Geisel was a doodler from day one. His mom used to soothe him to sleep by chanting rhymes she remembered from her family's bakery. This mix of rhythm and drawing became the foundation of his entire career. He would often sneak into the Springfield Zoo with his sketchbook, and the strange and wonderful animals he drew there would later inspire the fantastical creatures in his books. That long-necked whatever it is in his stories? Probably inspired by a wonky-looking zoo animal. Before he became the children's book legend we know today, Ted had a very different career. He was an advertising man. He spent about 15 years creating ads for a popular bug spray called Flit. His slogan, "Quick, Henry, the Flit," became a national catchphrase, kind of like a modern-day meme. He drew these wild cartoons of people fighting off bizarre-looking insects. It was during this time that he really honed his unique illustration style, that signature Seussian look we all recognize. So, how did he get into writing children's books? It almost didn't happen. His very first book, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street, was rejected by publishers 27 times. Can you imagine? 27 rejections? He was literally walking home, ready to burn the manuscript, when he bumped into an old friend from college who had just become a children's book editor. The friend took a look, loved it, and the rest is history. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. This lucky break launched a career that would change children's literature forever. One of his most famous books, The Cat in the Hat, was actually written on a dare. In the 1950s, there was a big debate going on that children's reading primers were incredibly boring. An editor challenged Ted to write a story that first graders couldn't put down, using a list of only 236 simple words. Ted struggled with the list for months, finding it nearly impossible to create a story. He said he was about to give up when he looked at the word list one last time and decided he'd just use the first two words that rhymed. And what were they? Cat and hat. And just like that, the mischievous, rule-breaking, fun-loving Cat in the Hat was born, completely revolutionizing how kids learn to read. Another classic, Green Eggs and Ham, had a similar origin. His editor bet him $50 that he couldn't write a book using 50 or fewer unique words. Ted took the bet and won, creating an absolute masterpiece of repetition and persuasion that has sold millions of copies. The simple vocabulary and catchy rhymes made it incredibly easy for young readers to follow along and build confidence. It is a testament to his genius that he could create such an engaging story with so many limitations. But Dr. Seuss's stories weren't just silly rhymes and funny pictures. Many of them carried powerful messages. The Lorax, for example, is a powerful environmental fable about the dangers of corporate greed and deforestation. It was published way back in 1971, long before environmentalism was a mainstream topic. He was way ahead of his time, teaching kids the importance of speaking for those who can't speak for themselves, like the trees. Then there's The Sneetches, a brilliant story about prejudice and conformity. The Starbelly Sneetches think they're better than the Plainbelly Sneetches, until a clever salesman comes along and shows them just how silly their divisions are. It's a simple, powerful story about seeing past superficial differences and treating everyone with respect. And who could forget the Butter Battle Book? This was his take on the Cold War and the nuclear arms race, told through two groups, the Yuks and the Zooks, who disagree on which side of their bread to butter. It sounds silly, but their escalating conflict, with each side building bigger and bigger weapons, was a direct and surprisingly dark commentary on the absurdity of war. The book ends on a cliffhanger, with both sides ready to drop the ultimate bomb, leaving the reader to ponder the consequences. Ted Geisel was a perfectionist. He would spend up to a year on a single book, agonizing over every word and every sketch. He was known to throw out 95% of his material before he was satisfied. He worked from his home in Loyola, California, in a studio he called The Tower, which had a breathtaking view of the Pacific Ocean. Inside, this studio was his incredible hat collection. He had hundreds of hats from all over the world, and whenever he had writer's block, he'd put on a different hat, hoping it would give him a new perspective. He believed the hats helped him step into the shoes or, well, hats of his characters. Throughout his life, Ted Geisel wrote and illustrated over 60 books, selling hundreds of millions of copies worldwide. He won numerous awards, including a special Pulitzer Prize in 1984 for his contribution to the education and enjoyment of America's children and their parents. But perhaps his greatest legacy is the simple joy of reading that he passed on to so many. He showed us that books don't have to be boring. They can be fun, fantastical, and filled with incredible adventures. His impact is everywhere. From blockbuster movies and Broadway musicals to the annual Read Across America Day celebrated on his birthday, March 2nd. He made reading an event, something to look forward to. He proved that you could teach important lessons about morality, society, and the environment without ever being preachy. You just needed a good rhyme, a few wacky characters, and a whole lot of imagination. Theodore Seuss Geisel passed away in 1991, but his spirit lives on in every Grinch, Horton, and Lorax. He was a man who never lost his sense of childlike wonder and dedicated his life to sharing it with the world. He taught us that a person's a person, no matter how small, and that unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So next time you pick up a Dr. Seuss book, remember the man behind the magic. The college dropout, the ad man, the doodler who was rejected 27 times but never gave up. The doctor who wrote his greatest works on a dare and wasn't afraid to hide big ideas inside of silly stories. His world is a place where anything is possible, and it's a world we're all lucky to be able to visit, one page at a time. Thanks so much for watching. What's your favorite Dr. Seuss book? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep diving into the life of the incredible Dr. Seuss. See you in the next one.